Welcome to National Resource Center, Central University of Kerala. Today, we will discuss on Techno, Pedagogical and Content Knowledge, Tpack. Successful technology integration is rooted primarily in curriculum, content and content-related learning processes, and secondarily in savvy use of educational technologies. Increasing availability of technology and web tools can transform the digital space of learners and teachers today. Tpack is one such design which came out as a result of technological pinning of content. Technological, pedagogical, content knowledge. Tpack has been introduced as a conceptual framework for the knowledge base that teachers need to effectively teach with technology. The framework originates from the notion that technology integration in a specific educational context benefits from a careful alignment of content, pedagogy, competency in technology and teachers to integrate and blend all these in their teaching practice. In order to have an excellence in all three domains, teachers need to be familiarized with technology, pedagogy and to have a meaningful understanding of the content. Technological, pedagogical content knowledge, Tpack, attempts to identify the nature of knowledge required by teachers for technology integration in their teaching, while addressing the complex, multifaceted and flexible nature of teachers' knowledge. The Tpack framework extends Shulman's idea of pedagogical content knowledge. The Tpack framework. The Tpack framework builds on pedagogical content knowledge (PCK) to explain how teachers' understanding of educational technologies and pedagogical content knowledge (PCK) interact with one another to produce effective teaching with technology. Tpack has been emerged as an educational design for integrating technology. Some people have explained this concept in wider connotations, but the basic idea has been remained as same. The concept of Tpack described here has developed over time and through web related articles, and it is based on the idea propagated by Mishra and Kohler in 2006 in their writings. In this framework model, there are three main components of teachers' knowledge: content, pedagogy and technology. Equally important to the model are the interactions between and among these bodies of knowledge, represented as PCK, pedagogical content knowledge, TCK, technological content knowledge and TPK, technological pedagogical knowledge. Finally, Tpack, technology, pedagogy and content knowledge. The 7 components of Tpack. At the heart of the Tpack framework is the complex interplay of 3 primary forms of knowledge: content knowledge (CK), pedagogy knowledge (PK) and technology knowledge (TK). The Tpack approach goes beyond seeing these 3 knowledge bases in isolation. The Tpack framework goes further by emphasizing the kinds of knowledge that lie at the intersections between 3 primary forms: pedagogical content knowledge, technological content knowledge and technological pedagogical knowledge. Finally, technological, pedagogical and content knowledge. Effective technology integration for pedagogy around specific subject matter requires developing sensitivity to the dynamic transactional relationship between these components of knowledge situated in unique context. Individual teachers grade level, school specific factors, demographies, culture and other factors ensure that every situation is unique and no single combination of content, technology and pedagogy will apply for every teacher, every course or every view of teaching. Content knowledge. Content knowledge is teachers' knowledge about the subject matter to be learned or taught. The content to be covered in middle school is different from content to be covered in undergraduate, or knowledge of content is of critical importance for teachers. As Shulman noted, this knowledge includes concepts, theories, ideas, organizational framework, evidence and proof, as well as established practices and approaches towards developing such knowledge. Knowledge and the nature of inquiry differ greatly between fields, and teachers should understand the deeper knowledge fundamentals of the disciplines they teach. In the case of science, for example, this would include knowledge of scientific facts and theories, the scientific method, the evidence based reasoning. In the case of art appreciation, such knowledge would include art history, famous artists, paintings, sculptures and their historical context, as well as an aesthetic and psychological theories for appreciating and evaluating art. Pedagogical knowledge. Pedagogical knowledge is teachers' deep understanding about the process and practices or methods of teaching and learning. They encompass, among other factors, overall educational purposes, values and aims. This generic form of knowledge applies to understanding how students learn, general classroom management skills, lesson planning and student assessment. It includes knowledge about techniques or methods used in the classroom, the nature of the target audience and strategies for evaluating student understanding. A teacher with deep pedagogical knowledge understands how students construct knowledge and acquire skills, and how they develop habits of mind and positive dispositions towards learning. As such, pedagogical knowledge requires an understanding of cognitive, social and developmental theories of learning and how they apply to students in classroom. Technology knowledge. Technology knowledge is always in a state of flux than the other two core knowledge domains in the Tpack framework, pedagogy and content. Thus, defining it is very difficult. Any definition of technology knowledge is in danger of becoming outdated. It is certain ways of thinking about and working with technology can apply to all technological tools and resources. The definition of TK used in the Tpack framework is close to that of fluency of information technology fitness. Fitness goes beyond traditional notions of computer literacy to require that persons to understand information technology broadly enough to apply it productively at work and in their everyday lives. It is therefore requires a deeper, more essential understanding and mastery of information technology for information processing, communication and problem solving than does the traditional definition of computer literacy. In simple terms, technological knowledge represents the technical skills that were the early focus of educational technology courses. Example, how to operate tools like word processing, spreadsheet and presentation programs. Pedagogical content knowledge. Pedagogical content knowledge is consistent with and similar to Shulman's idea of knowledge of pedagogy that is applicable to teaching specific content. Central to Shulman's conceptualization of PCK is the notion of transformation of the subject matter for teaching. Specifically, according to Shulman, this transformation occurs as the teacher interprets the subject matter, finds multiple ways to represent it, and adapts and tailors the instructional materials to alternative conceptions and students' prior knowledge. PCK covers the core business of teaching, learning, curriculum, assessment and reporting, such as the conditions that promote learning as the links among curriculum, assessment and pedagogy, and awareness of common misconceptions and ways of looking at them. The importance of forging connections among different content based ideas, students' prior knowledge, alternative teaching strategies, and the flexibility that comes from exploring alternative ways of looking at the same idea or problem are all essential for effective teaching. Technological content knowledge. Technology and content knowledge have a deep historical relationship. Progress in fields such as diverse medicine, history, archaeology, physics have coincided with the development of new technologies that afford the representation and manipulation of data in new and fruitful ways. Consider Rontgen's discovery of X-rays or the technique of carbon-14 dating and the influence of these technologies in the field of medicine and archaeology. Consider also how the advent of the digital computer changed the nature of physics and mathematics and placed a greater emphasis on the role of simulation in understanding phenomena. Technological changes have also offered new metaphors for understanding the world, viewing the heart as a pump or the brain as an information processing machine are just some of the ways in which technology have provided new perspectives for understanding phenomena. These representation and interconnections are superficial. They often have led to fundamental changes in the nature of the disciplines. Understanding the impact of technology on the practices and knowledge of a given discipline is critical to developing appropriate technological tools for educational purposes. The choice of technologies limit and delimit the type of content, ideas that can be taught. Likewise, certain content can limit the type of technologies that can be used. Technology can constrain the types of possible representations, but also can afford the construction of newer and more varied representations. Furthermore, technological tools can provide a greater degree of flexibility in navigating across these representations. Technological content knowledge then is an understanding of the manner in which technology and content influence and constrains one another. Teachers needs to master more than the subject matter they teach. They also must have a deep understanding of the manner in which the subject matter or the kinds of representation that can be constructed or can be changed by the application of particular technologies. Teachers need to understand which specific technologies are best suited for addressing subject matter learning in their domains and how the content dictates or perhaps even changes the technology or vice versa. In simple terms, technological content knowledge (TCK) represents the knowledge of technology tools and representations that are used by practitioners within a content discipline. An understanding of the manner in which Technology and content influence and constrain one another. For example, use of data collection and analysis of tools like digital props and spreadsheets by scientists. Technological pedagogical knowledge. Technological pedagogical knowledge is an understanding of how teaching and learning can change when particular technologies are used in particular ways. This includes knowing the pedagogical affordances and constraints of a range of technological tools as they relate to disciplinarily and developmentally appropriate pedagogical designs and strategies. To build TPK, a deeper understanding of the constraints and affordances of technologies and the disciplinary context within which they function is needed. For example, consider how whiteboards may be used in classrooms, because whiteboard is a typically immobile, visible to many and easily editable. It uses the classrooms are presupposed. Thus, the whiteboard is usually placed at the front of the classroom and is controlled by the teacher. This location imposes particular physical order in the classroom by determining the placement of tables and chairs and framing the nature of student-teacher interaction. Since students often can use it only when called upon by the teacher. However, it would be incorrect to say that there is only one way in which whiteboards can be used. One has only to compare this classroom practice to a brainstorming meeting is an advertising agency setting to see a rather different use of this technology. In this later setting, the whiteboard is not under the purview of a single individual. It can be used by anyone in the group, and it becomes the local point around which discussions and the negotiation or construction of meaning occur. An understanding of the affordances of technology and how they can be leveraged differently according to the changes in context and presupposes is an important part of understanding TPK. TPK becomes particularly important because most popular software programs are not designed for educational purposes. Software programs such as Microsoft Office Suite, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Entourage and MS and all these things are usually designed for business environments. Thus, TPK requires a forward-looking, creative and open-minded seeking of technology use, not for its own sake, but for the sake of advancing student learning and understanding. In simply, technological pedagogical knowledge represents the integration of technology with general pedagogical strategies characterized by an understanding of how teaching and learning can change when particular technologies are used in particular ways. Example, how to manage a technology rich classroom, engage students with technology oriented activities and create useful presentations and assessment. Technological pedagogical content knowledge. Technological pedagogical content knowledge, Tpack, is an emerged as a form of knowledge that goes beyond all three core components: content, pedagogy and technology. It is an understanding that emerges from interactions among content, pedagogy and technology knowledge underlying truly meaningful and deeply skilled teaching with technology. Pack is different from knowledge of all three concepts individually. Instead, Tpack is the basis of effective teaching with technology requiring an understanding of the representation of concepts using technologies. Pedagogical techniques that use technologies in constructive ways to teach content knowledge of what makes concepts difficult or easy to learn, and how technology can help to redress some of the problems that students face. Knowledge of students' prior knowledge and theories of epistemology, and knowledge of how technologies can be used to build on existing knowledge to develop new epistemologies or strengthen old ones. Finally, the outer dotted circle labeled context emphasizes the realization that technology, pedagogy and content do not exist in a vacuum, but rather are initiated in specific learning and teaching context. For instance, consider two different classrooms, one where each and every learner has a laptop or a mobile device with access to internet, and other which is equipped with just one desktop machine at the front of the class. Clearly, the kinds of instructional moves the teacher has to come up with would be very different in these two contexts. Similarly, school and national policies that allow or block certain websites such as Facebook or YouTube change how teachers can structure their lessons and activities by simultaneously integrating knowledge of technology, pedagogy, content and the context within which they function. Expert teachers bring Tpack into play at any time they teach. Each situation presented to teachers is a unique combination of these three factors, and accordingly there is no single technological solution that applies for every teacher, every course or every view of teaching. Rather, solutions lie in the ability of a teacher to flexibly navigate the spaces defined by three elements of content, pedagogy and technology, and the complex interactions among these elements in specific context. Ignoring the complexity inherent in each knowledge component or the complexities of the relationship among the components can lead to oversimplified solutions or failure. Thus, teachers need to develop fluency and cognitive flexibility not just in each of the key domains, technology, pedagogy and content, but also in the manner in which these domains and contextual parameters interrelate so that they can construct effective solutions. This is a kind of deep, flexible, pragmatic and nuanced understanding of teaching with the technology we involved in considering Tpack as a professional knowledge construct. Teaching with technology is difficult to do well. The Tpack framework suggests that content, pedagogy, technology and teaching learning context that have roles to play individually and together. Teaching successfully with the technology requires continually creating, maintaining and re-establishing a dynamic equilibrium among all components. It is worth noting that a range of factors influences how this equilibrium is reached. Sustainable pathway for technology adoption. According to Mr. and Collar, the gaps identified in computer skill-based programs can be bridged by redesigning the training packages to focus on technological pedagogical content knowledge. If the teachers needs to adequately integrate technology across different subject areas in the school curriculum, they need to demonstrate a firm mastery of Tpack. Tpack is an amalgamation of teachers' knowledge of curriculum, content, general pedagogies, technologies and contextual factors that influence learning in the specific context. One approach through which teachers can acquire skills to effectively adopt technology in the classroom is by working through different stages of professional development to blend technology, content and pedagogy. While reviewing The model suggested by Nice and colleagues, 4 major themes emerged from their proposed Tpack developmental model: curriculum and assessment, learning, teaching and access. Figure shows that teachers with sufficient background in pedagogical content knowledge go through the stages of recognizing, accepting, adapting, exploring and advancing with technology for each of the 4 major themes. As the teachers progress through the model, their Tpack is enhanced. The figure also illustrates how the constructs of content, pedagogy and technology intersect through progression in the different stages of the Tpack developmental model. Recognizing stage. Just you see the figure. As the recognizing stage of Tpack development, teachers begin to use basic technologies and recognizes their potential in enhancing teaching and learning in various subject areas. At this stage, teachers hardly use technology to introduce a new concept or to carry out pupils' assessment. The teachers still believe that the use of technology is time consuming and is as such will hinder them from covering their syllabus. They are apt to use technology only when they are sure that they will have enough time to cover their programs or when pupils demonstrate a mastery of the content knowledge. Accepting stage. Niels et al. 2009 remarked that teachers in the accepting stage of Tpack development accept the technology as being inevitable in their daily practices. When they see the benefits of using technology to enhance the teaching and learning process, they begin to integrate it in their lesson, through which many difficulties to incorporate it in all subject areas. Faced with these challenges, the teachers begin to seek professional development opportunities on technology integration. Their participation in such training enables them to start trying out the skills learned in their classrooms. The teachers gradually allow people to use technology to illustrate their understanding. The limited authorization of the pupils to use technology often arises as a result of teachers' worries that may be distracted from paying attention to their lessons. At this stage, they have serious challenges of managing their classes with the availability of technology. The technology used in these teachers' classes is usually skill based with teacher led step by step directions. Adapting stage. At this stage, the teachers start demonstrating understanding of the benefits of using technology as the teaching and learning tool. They begin to explore and experiment with the technology as tools that enhance curriculum practices. Most often, the experimentation process determines the full adoption or rejection of the tool. They develop some lessons in which pupils can use technology to explore and improve their understanding of previously learned concepts. Prior to letting people with experiment with technologies, the teachers regularly start by illustrating the use of technology to people while cautioning on safety issues. They design basic technology driven assessments to evaluate learners' conceptual understandings in addition to procedural understandings. These teachers also try to integrate ideas learned from professional development sessions but adapt the ideas to meet the needs of their people. Exploring stage. The exploring stage of Tpack development, according to Niels and his co-workers, corresponds to a phase where teachers motivated through the use of technology review traditional lesson plans of various subject areas to integrate ICT. As they navigate through the process, they identify which technology to integrate in a lesson plan to facilitate pupils' understanding of the lesson concepts. Through the use of technology, these teachers facilitate pupils' learning by engaging them in critical thinking, explorations, problem solving and decision making. With pupils' learning and attitude as a guiding factor, they plan, implement and reflect on teaching and learning outcomes. These teachers share classroom tested technology based lessons, ideas and successes with peers. Furthermore, they organize themselves into groups to explore which curriculum area will require the use of technology to classify abstract concepts. Likewise, the teachers share their experiences of using technology in different subject areas with peers during staff meeting and also design technology driven assessments to facilitate the evaluation of people's understanding. Advancing stage. In the advancing stage of Tpack development, teachers understand the need to innovate various aspects of the school curriculum with technology. They proceed with the modification of the curriculum to integrate technology in every subject area. Their focus at this stage is the enhancement of the learner's level of understanding through engaging them in high level thinking and self-directed learning. Advancing teachers fully embrace technology and view it as a tool that facilitates the accessibility to additional learning materials that further enhances pupils' understanding in various subjects in the school curriculum. Niels and co-workers observed that this category of teachers plan, implement and reflect on teaching and learning with concern and personal conviction for pupils' thinking and understanding of the lesson to be enhanced through interaction of the various technologies. Besides, these highly motivated teachers are perceived by their as very resourceful with novel ideas for teaching and learning with technology. They are often solicited by their less knowledgeable colleagues to help them through the difficulties they faced in integrating technology in the curriculum. Hints for ensuring Tpack rather than PCK. Create learning and sharing culture where there are opportunities for staff to develop their technological skill. Run workshop organized as school but run a colleagues or students who are already at mastery or better level to further support their development. Give students the opportunity to show their skills through digital leader opportunities. Don't let technology dictate learning. Combine pedagogy with content knowledge. Provide opportunities for staff to meet to discuss developments they have encountered using technology. Build a set of core apps which all staff can use at a mastery level so that consistency, confidence and competency can flourish. Now, let us summarize this session. Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge (Tpack) was introduced to the educational research as a theoretical framework for understanding teacher knowledge of required for effective technology integration. The TPCK framework acronym was renamed as Tpack, pronounced as Tpack, for the purpose of making it easier to remember and to form a more integrated whole for the three kinds of knowledge addressed: technology, pedagogy and content. The Tpack framework builds on Shulman's construct of pedagogical content knowledge to include technology knowledge as situated within content and pedagogical knowledge. This module discusses on technology knowledge, content knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, pedagogical content knowledge, technological content knowledge, technological pedagogical knowledge, and finally technological pedagogical and content knowledge Tpack. The module explains about all these conceptual designs of Tpack in detail. Hope this session was useful to you. See you next time. Until then, goodbye.